There we go. Hello. uh, Blocked me from my own studio. First of all, thank you all for watching. 11:34 p.m. on Thanksgiving night, as we're doing this broadcast, and the reason we're doing it is twofold. Um, First fold being that we want to say Happy Thanksgiving to everybody, and the second um, is because there have been some things happening today that I thought maybe people would want to know about if they didn't know about, and also remind people that we are heading into Black Friday, and if there are just too many, we got domestic terrorists, we've got just crazy people, we've got potentially foreign terrorists. Um, and again, let's not forget crazy people. So, when we say, yeah, have your heads on a swivel, we're not telling you to go to the mattresses and hunker down and, not show your face anywhere. Live your life. Okay. Um, just be a little more aware, especially when you're in crowded situations or when you're going into major public events. They tend to be crowded, but you know, uh, things could happen anywhere. So, with all that, hey, pink flamingo, hey, always be kind. Well, thank you. Um, oh gosh. So let's start with the first purpose for coming on, and that is to say Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. And a lot of people, um, a lot of people help make this channel by either uh, coming on here, um, such as Chris, or by being a mod, or by being in the chat, or by um, you know donating through Cashapp. I'm thankful for everyone that helps this be able to be happening. Um, and right now, of course, we're in a very unique place that we can access the expertise of Chris, and uh, I think we've been kind of spot on most things. And with all that being said, again, thank you to all the mods. Thank you to everybody in chat, everybody that has been a guest on the show, and everybody that watches, especially. Um, so, hello, Pat Oliver, and not going away. Happy Thanksgiving. Um, so let's start with Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade today. Um, and by the way, I'm I'm also monitoring a couple of different things. We're not going to be showing them on the screen. One of the things I'm monitoring is the potential ceasefire, a 4-day ceasefire between Hamas in Gaza and Israel, is scheduled to begin in about 22 minutes at midnight our time. And so I'm going to stay on, and I'm going to monitor that, to see if the ceasefire's observed. At the moment, Israel is still launching flares above ground, and I assume lighting up the area for either ground operations or for artillery. So with 21 minutes to go, Israel is still firing. Israel did hit a UN school that was being used for as a sanctuary um, just a few hours ago and killed up to 44 people. Um, a okay. I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm monitoring a couple of different things here. Um, the Let's go back to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. All right, because we got a few minutes until midnight here. And again, I'm on here monitoring and on here because you know um, it's Thanksgiving, and there are times um, like right now for me, that you're just alone, and and it's okay to be alone. Um, but on Thanksgiving night, I thought, let's throw a live up there so that if people are alone, there's some place they can come and chat with others and interact with me because I'm going to be doing that as well. Um, I might even drop the link, and anybody that wants to come up for a quick question or a quick comment, if there are a lot of people that want to come up, we may do that. It just kind of popped into my head. Um, uh, Also, along with and this, I don't know if this is being talked about at all. I haven't seen it on any of the major media sites. There was a train derailment in Kentucky early this morning, and there's been evacuations. The train was carrying molten sulfur, I believe. Um, so, carrying anything that starts with molten, meaning it's like lava, is not a good thing. So, um, know that that happened. All right. Now, Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, an American tradition for years and years and years and years and years. They've done it through incredible windstorms and rainstorms and bitter cold, and it went off today. It did not go off without a hitch. And for those of you that watched the parade, you might not have known anything happened. Actually, there were three events happened by three different groups. All of the groups were uh, pro-Palestinian groups. One of the group was pro-Palestinian and anti-oil. Um, that group set up right in front of the big green dinosaur, Dino the dinosaur that represented Sinclair Oil back in the day, and so that was where they set up. Another group set up in front of Ronald McDonald, um, and some of the people glued their hands to the pavement. Okay, uh, I mean, okay, you're passionate about it. We get it. Anyway, um, the TV broadcast did not acknowledge anything was happening. Nothing. Um, and the parade was obviously paused. So there were a lot of come back to the parade for just a few seconds and just shots of just the hosts, and then back to other commercials because everything was at a standstill. They had to redirect some of the things, um, and they were all arrested. Everything was peaceful, um, and people lost. It, somebody they don't have fingerprints or anything on their hands anymore. Um, but nothing on the level of violence. So that we should be thankful for as well, because there were over 1 million people there watching that in New York City, as well as you know probably billion around the world. Um, and nothing happened, and nothing of major significance in the United States has happened today, um, violence wise. That cannot be said for well, Israel. Israel had the worst attack they have suffered since the beginning of this war from Hezbollah that came today. So um, when we get back to talking um, about the ceasefire and the timing of the ceasefire, one thing this will do, the ceasefire will allow Israel to focus on Hezbollah in Lebanon on their northern border, while not being active, allegedly, in the southern area, the Gaza Strip. So you got Hamas in the Gaza Strip, you've got Hezbollah in Lebanon. In Ireland today, a 50-ish-year-old man from Algeria who was an asylum seeker attacked three children and two adults with a knife. The three children were ages 5, 5, and 6. 5-year-old boy, 5-year-old girl, 6-year-old girl, and then two adults, a 20-year-old female and a 50-year-old male. This is the information I've been given. And he is still on the loose, by the way. Um, all five of the victims are alive. The 5-year-old girl was in the worst shape, and she is in critical shape. They are trying to do life-saving um, medical procedures on her as we speak. Um, that has sparked an incredible amount of violence in Dublin, Ireland, where this happened. What kind of violence? Police cars set on fire. The Holiday Inn Express in Dublin set on fire. Why would they do that? Well, that's because that's where they house the asylum seekers, immigrants. They're the far right wing in Ireland. United States is not, if you didn't see the Argentinian elections or you didn't see what happened in the Netherlands, um, the United States is not the only place with a far right wing. Okay, and don't think that all of the far right wings aren't thinking we are all going to get in power and we're going to kill everybody that's not like us, because that's what they are thinking. But back to Ireland. Um, and as of right now, it is still going on over there. Police have been attacked, and and don't be surprised if that doesn't spread as well. Um, the while while the world is divided at the moment over Gaza, over the Palestinians, over Hamas, and over the Jewish people, and over Israel, and over the far right Zionists in Israel and around the world. Um, the 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 thing is just going to continue to be divided, and now it's going to be divided by um, divided by violence. Okay, far right groups are going to see what's happening in Israel or in Dublin, Ireland. Far right groups in other countries, and they're going to, it's a good idea. It's time. It's past time. Is what's going to be going through their heads. Um, I've seen this happen on a college campus back in 19 and something, um, when Jimmy Carter was president of the United States, and there was what was called the Iranian hostage crisis that went on for 444 days. Um, Basically, there was an Islamic revolution in Iran. Um, they got rid of the Shah of Iran, who the United States um, had propped up as the leader. Anyway, they took every American they could find hostage. Most of them were from the United States Embassy in Tehran, and they held them. And I saw it happen on a college campus. A, a bunch of drunken fraternity guys um, decided they were going to do harm to the brown people. Um, and it didn't matter if these people were Indian or Pakistani or um, because there weren't any Iranians on that particular campus. These guys didn't know that, I'm sure, but there weren't any Iranians. But they went out, and the numbers grew as word spread what was happening. And this is kind of what happened on a much bigger scale in Dublin tonight. Hang on a second, let me get a. Pardon me for drinking on air during a thing, but um, GA from CA, my gosh, I have not seen you forever. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you were here when I was saying how thankful I am um, for my mods to begin with. I've got like an all female mod team for those that don't know. Each one of them is a badass in their own right, and they are all very different. Um, and I'm very appreciative of all of them. GA, the stunning one, cunning stunt. I got to make sure I always have to focus when I know I'm going to be saying that name. Um, uh, of course, the lovely Lori Arnold. Um, the most awesome of all is not going away. She's been with me years. All right. Um, and there are some that um, are there in the background and not in the public eye. Um, which I advise anybody that does this to have some of those kind of mods, um, who won't hesitate to drop a hammer or whatever. You know what I'm saying. Anyway, um, speaking of Lori Arnold, there she is. Happy Thanksgiving to you, Lori, and happy Thanksgiving again to everybody. Um, I kind of lost place where what I was talking about, but anyway, okay. Netanyahu is supposed to speak soon. Let me pull up another window on the monitoring screen. And actually, I'm going to pull two up because I think one of the mainstream media might be live broadcasting that. Um, but again, we got like 7 minutes until the ceasefire is supposed to happen. So before it happens, I'm going to give you some things some predictions. All right, one of the two sides is going to screw the other side over. All right, I'm just saying that's going to happen. Um, 4 days is supposed to be the length of the ceasefire. No drones, no air traffic over Gaza during this time. The initial number of hostages being released from Hamas is 13. They are all, I think they are all under, um, I think they're, no, wait a minute, that's the other way around. There's 13 being released. They are um, mothers and children. If you're a mother with children, you're probably going to be in this first group released, and the others are children. Now, in exchange, um, of course, there's not going to be any kind of violence. It's a ceasefire. That means no exchange on either side. Again, I'm telling you, one side's going to screw the other one over, and then it's going to be like the hospital thing again. Both sides are going to be blaming the other side for doing it. Just wait. Um, in exchange for 13 hostage, in exchange for every hostage that Hamas releases, Israel releases 3 hostages. And so, with 13 coming from Hamas, 39 women and children under the age of 18 um, being held in Israeli jails will be released. Now, until I was putting this together a few minutes ago, I didn't think much about it, but it dawned on me. Israel gets 1 back, and the Palestinian side, Hamas, gets 3 back. Um, why why that rate of exchange when okay, Hamas is supposed to be the bad guys, Israel's supposed to be the good guys. That's the way it's being portrayed to everybody. And normally you get like 3 good guys back for every bad guy. If you look at Russia and United States prisoner exchanges, um, they generally get the bad guy. You don't get 3 bad guys for 1 good guy normally. All right. And I know that's a real simplistic way of looking at it, but and I have nothing to do with the negotiations. It's just to me, it is Israel doesn't want this ceasefire. Okay, in my opinion, United States is pushing the ceasefire onto Israel under world pressure, and Israel doesn't want it. They're going along with it, um, and they know that it's not going to be a 4-day. They're not going to get all the hostages back. Um, and also, it might show that, Israel wanted to be attacked, which what I said as soon as it happened, I said, okay, Israel's got the best um, uh, intelligence in the world. They knew this was coming, and talked with Chris. He said the exact same thing to me before I could say it to him. Um, and that's just that's what we do as far as analysis kind of stuff. Anyway, if this is about oil, as we have been speculating, and we've been speculating for a couple of weeks now, others are starting to really start to catch on to this. Not because of us. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that people are starting um, to look at you know starting to piece it all together. And when you do that, um, you can see possibly a different picture. Um, we got 3 minutes until we are supposed to be in in ceasefire. Um, let's see. One other thing I want to touch on real quick because I'll forget it if I don't. There was um, there was an incident at the Rainbow Bridge, the crossing between United States and Canada, um, at at Niagara Falls. Um, if you're going to do a terrorist attack, Niagara Falls is it's a wonder of the world, and it is a major um, sightseeing place for both Canada and the United States. So if that's what it was supposed to be, or if that's what was attempted, um, that you can understand why why that place would be a target. With that being said, um, the United States had a command and control plane. I talk about the command and control plane, the presidential planes, the nuke sniffers, um, and we track these. United States had a command and control plane circling above Niagara Falls when that accident happened yesterday. Um, is that a coincidence? We're not supposed to know this stuff, all right? But it's just another one of those, you know, things that make you go, hmm. Um, and again, I got a couple of minutes. Let me make sure I haven't. Hackers, the uh, the group Anonymous claims responsibility for infiltrating the Israeli Defense Ministry website and obtaining sensitive information on over 11,000 soldiers. This information includes pics of soldiers' addresses, contact information, military enlistment numbers. So it sounds like Anonymous is getting ready to dox a bunch of Israeli soldiers. Um, let's see what else we have here. U.S. Air Force Base in western Iraq been attacked by drones and mortars. That was 12 hours ago. It was a coordinated attack. Um, a ground assault on the fence around the base as Iranian-backed forces attempted to storm the base. So it's sounding to me like we're active war in both Iraq and Syria, and primarily around the Conoco oil fields. Um, okay, and again, I'm not showing you the videos. That was the Palestinian protesters have targeted the home of a Jewish organization president in Brentwood, California. Masked activists have thrown smoke grenades at the Jewish man's house, poured fake blood, and placed fake baby body bags on the driveway and on his lawn. And that came in just about well, a little over an hour ago. Um, okay, all right, that's it. So we are at 12:01, and let me see what the Gaza border looks like. Okay, they're on commercial. The stream is on commercial, so we will get a look. Guy Bassett, hello. How are you? Thank you for clicking on. And again, thanks. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Greatly appreciate you all tuning in and get through all this serious stuff here, and then I'm gonna talk with the chat a little bit. And as I said, if somebody wants to and hop up with a question or a comment or something. Um, okay, the hostages are expected to be released through the border. Um, okay, the ceasefire has supposedly started. I'm not seeing. Okay, there's a video. I was going to say I'm not seeing any video of Gaza, but I got a video up now. Um, it is it is daybreak over Gaza, so it's a well lit shot. Um, no Palestinians released from jails until the Israeli hostages are back on Israeli soil. They're going to start letting more aid trucks in through Egypt, through the Egyptian border. And okay, 7 a.m. It's 7 a.m. local time, and the ceasefire has come into effect. And there is nothing going on in the skies over Gaza anyway. Um, okay, at 4 p.m. local. So we're looking at 9 hours from now. 9 hours from now, 13 out of the 50 that they have agreed to release will be escorted to the Rafah crossing um, by Egyptians to get the hostages back into Israel. Um, and 150 Palestinians will be freed after. And again, these are women and kids that are going to be freed by Israel. No one over 18 will be part of this deal. Palestinian prisoner be handed over to families in occupied West Bank. Okay, so um, 208 trucks are expected to enter over the course of the next 24 hours. Much needed aid to a lot of people that that aren't part of this, that have been forced out of their homes. Um, and the you know we've talked in the past. We've had panels on here in the past and talked about the psychological impact of things. Um, Imagine the psychological impact of constantly hearing a drone above your head, of hearing bombs in the distance, and the bombs get closer and closer and closer, and you're wondering when's it going to be our part of the area. Um, the For the civilians, a 4-day ceasefire must will probably, if it goes off, I don't think it will, but um, again, I think one side will screw the other. I'm not saying who, I don't know, but there's just not enough trust. That's why I'm saying this. There's not enough trust. Somebody will do something and probably blame the other side once they do. Um, but any kind of ceasefire, any kind of knowledge that, you know what, I can just chill. And of course, they can't really do that, because even though they might be able to relax from the thought of a bomb dropping on their head, um, once they get to that, once they're able to do that, then they start thinking about everything that's been going on around them that they haven't been able to think about, because all they could think about is surviving, is staying alive. And then the losses and everything else starts, and the anger. Um, but nonetheless, they will be able to at least ratchet the stress down a notch or two. And it's important. It's important to ratchet the stress down, um, at least in my opinion. So the ceasefire has begun officially. Um, there are 3,100 Palestinians debate, detained in prison since October 7th. 1,200 Israelis killed in the attack on October 7th, including more than 300 Israeli soldiers. Um, Israeli government says 237 Israelis and foreign nationals are held captive. 237 Israelis, foreign nationals, are held captive by Palestinian fighters in Gaza. Hamas says at least 60 captives have been killed by Israel airstrikes on Gaza. Um, Israeli army says 72 soldiers have been killed during its ground offensive thus far. So that's kind of the latest in that area. Um, Let me hop over to the chat here and see what's up. Well, thank you, Lori. Yes, for those that don't know, I cut about 14 inches of hair off. Here, let me take the headphones off for just a second. Yeah, yeah. Here we go. Yes. Um, Thank you, Lori. And Guy, um, Lori, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Um, for those that don't know, Lori was staying with me for a little bit. and and my family up until today thought she was coming to Thanksgiving with me, and when I showed up, they're like, uh, they were looking and looking outside, and they're like, you didn't show up alone." Well, yeah, I did. Um, and oh, I love Lori Arnold. Who doesn't love Lori Arnold? Well, yeah, okay. There are those that don't, but I love Lori Arnold. And my Thanksgiving wish is Lori finds happiness, and I think she might have. So, um, well, thank you, GA. Guy Bassett says I agreed. I do not think that they are going to release the hostages. There's no reason for them to do it, and they know it. Um, yes, Lori, they are. I'm blessed to have my family. Um, my sister said, okay, my sister's, never mind. Um, I think they might go through with this first release, Guy, just, just to kind of again, my theory, and it's only a theory based upon being in politics and working for the government and everything I've done in my life. My theory is the United States is pressuring Israel to do this. So, to appease the United States, Israel agreed. They're going to go through with the first, um, and maybe two, but I don't think, again, you're right. There's no reason for Hamas to do it, um, other than this will give them time to reposition and um, regroup a little bit, and plus they'll get supplies from they're going to take some of the fuel, some of the water, some of the stuff that's supposed to go to the most needy. Um, they will take that. That's what happens in war. The people actually fighting the war have to be the priority. They're the ones keeping you from getting killed and keeping you from getting, keeping genocide from happening. However you want to look at it. And I'm not saying that's what's happening. I'm just saying different people have different views, and I don't think they'll. I don't think I don't think Israel wants the ceasefire, as I said. So um, I think they'll do one. I think they'll do maybe two. Um, but I think one's going to screw the other one over somehow, so that this ceasefire doesn't last. And Hamas, I think, wants the ceasefire a lot more than Israel does. So maybe Israel's the one to break the ceasefire. Um, I don't know. Again, my thought is when it does happen, both sides are going to blame the other, and it really won't matter once it all kicks off again. Um, yes, yes, Guy. Lori does have a good heart, and everyone knows. Not everyone. Um, there are certain groups that just um, absolutely despise the lovely Lori Arnold, and it's just that based on philosophies. And and Lori and I don't share the same philosophies. We have had some um, we've had some um, conversations. Um, we never yelled and screamed at each other for very long, or called each other names or anything like that. We disagreed on things, and the one thing I miss the most is, well, no, not the most, but one of the things I really miss is every morning. Um, she is incredibly positive, and it was always, good morning. and I'm not a morning person. So that always made the morning a little bit more tolerable. Um, the one thing I do not understand, when Russia invaded Ukraine, there was no protest. A lot more people got killed in Ukraine. They're in Gaza. Why doesn't anyone care about Ukraine people? Um, Guy, um, you're right. When when Russia invaded Ukraine, there were some protests, but nothing remotely close to the scale that we deal with in Gaza. Uh, when it comes to the Israeli Hamas or Israel Palestinian, um, and and we got to say Muslim Jew, because it all gets lumped together. Um, People don't have the attention span or the time for nuance. Except, you know, as I said, I'm really seriously thinking about starting to call this um, the Smart People Show, and in parentheses, for smart people only, um, because a lot of people don't. I mean, I'm not being judgmental. I'm not being um, elitist. I'm not being anything like that. But a lot of people just don't have um, the attention span it takes to have a 45-minute conversation, um, and the experience outside of their small spheres of influence to be able to comprehend. Um, there's a great big giant world, and this is not simple. None of this is simple. There are a lot of different nuances, and you can't call a person. A person may be Israeli. They may be Jewish, and they may even be a Zionist. But just because they are one, it does not mean they are automatically the other two. Okay. Um, and a Palestinian person uh, may be a Muslim, maybe Palestinian, maybe Muslim, and maybe Hamas. But just because they're one doesn't mean they're the others. It's just like prejudiced over race, um, and that's worldwide. That's not just in our country either. Um, it would be beneficial to all of us if we started broadening our horizons, at least in our heads, widening our minds to look at what's happening in the world, because we're on the internet right at the moment, and should remind us all how connected we actually all are. Um, this there are people that restream this program. Probably will be restreaming this um, to Africa, to Jamaica, to Eastern Europe. This stream goes out to a lot of places, and and uh, I I'm I'm glad that people want to share that with what's going on here in their countries. I probably should copyright a lot more than I do, because I just don't normally, unless it's you know um, someone that's done something to me first. And we get so focused, um, and sometimes we have to be to take care of ourselves. We got to be focused on just our little sphere of influence. But we get so focused that we don't think of other options. We don't think of um, other. We can't put ourselves in other people's shoes at times, especially when it comes to things outside of our own borders. You know, there are a lot of different cultures in the world, folks, and there are a lot of different cultures in the United States, and it sure seems like we're trying to stomp them out. here in our country and possibly around the world. But um, not everybody, not everybody in America thinks the same. How could we expect everybody around the world to think like Americans? So, um, I guess a little bit of compassion, a little bit of understanding, and of opening our minds more might benefit us all. I don't know. Um, oh, I did not mention, I don't think. Um, Earlier this afternoon, there was a suspicious package at the Museum of Art, the National Museum of Art on the National Mall in Washington, D.C., uh, relatively close to where 1776 Restoration Movement and those in opposition were located. Um, and they taped off the entire mall, the entire area. They had the bomb crew there. I've got video of it, but again, I can't play it. Um, and it turned out to be not something destructive. Um, but was it put there for a purpose? Um, because Chris talks to us about the military and the paramilitary aspect of things, and he's often talked about a probe where you try to see how someone's going to respond before you do something. So, was that box put there because it was full of posters that were um, uh, posters trying to raise awareness for anti-Semitism? Okay, so probably a pro-Israeli group, or they were stolen from a pro-Israeli group and used because there hasn't been a pro-Israeli rally there for a few weeks. So this box did not go; it didn't sit there for a few weeks, and people not notice. Um, I guess I said a few weeks, but probably 10 to 14 days. The major rally out there. So this box that might have been part of that wouldn't have sat in this location. And was it put there by someone to see how long it would sit there before somebody reacted and how they reacted once it was there, so that I just keep flashing back to Boston Marathon and an inconspicuous backpack sitting by a mailbox that contained a pressure cooker that blew up, and like Chris said, um, those guys weren't necessarily um, called to martyrdom. We've got to add that part to all of this, that there was a global jihad called about 3 weeks ago on a Friday, which we are now in. Um, Friday is um, the holy day in the Muslim faith. And they will all be in the mosques, and there will be those in the mosques that's to their people and um, call for violence. So that's why we say, heads on a swivel, kind of bringing everything back around. Um, the box had it was, you know, end. Um, I didn't see it, but it was basically promoting ending anti-Semitism. They were, like the flyers, or not the flyers, but like the way I understand it, they were like the political cards that you see at rallies. Um, but that's all I know. So I don't know if they'll even talk about that. The FBI has pretty much quickly said there's nothing to see at the crossing between Canada and the United States at the Rainbow Bridge. It was just an accident, so don't pay any attention to it. Again, if you're just joining us, um, at the same time it happened, during there was a command and control plane, which command and control planes are specific. There are only so many of them in the Air Force fleet, and their mission is to get important intelligence directly to the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the President of the United States. That's the mission. Direct information to the top military and the president. So, did they know something might happen at that crossing? Is that why they were up there monitoring? Or was something else supposed to happen that didn't when this possible diversion that might have been the first vehicle might have been a diversion for something else? We don't know. We may never know. And we always have to remember that, that our government does not tell us everything and sometimes doesn't tell the truth. Um, so it's a threat that was meant to scare people. Everyone was worried that Macy's Thanksgiving parade was going to get hit. Half of the families that were going to go did not. They were afraid. Yeah, we can't do that. We cannot be afraid. Thank you, guys. That's a great and important point. We can't do that. And I said this in the beginning of this. Um, we've got to live. Hold on a second. There's a whole bunch of smoke coming up over an area of Gaza. Okay, Qatar is saying aid is expected to enter Gaza Strip via Rafah, the Rafah crossing, as soon as possible. But it looks like there is, I don't know, maybe that's fog coming in from the ocean. I can't tell. Uh, I got such a small window because I've also got the Gaza crossing, um, and I've got Khan Yunis Hospital in southern Gaza. Anyway, um, the not going away. The parade is available to watch by stream um, on on YouTube. Um, a lot of places actually stream the parade. Hang on a second. I gotta. All right, one of those secret mods I was telling you about. Very sexy secret mod, by the way. All of them are. All of my mods are sexy. Um, okay, gotcha. Thank you very much. Um, I missed the Macy's parade yesterday. I missed the dog show. I'm hoping the dog show's going. I'm hoping the dog show's streamed because I like to watch that and I missed that. I'm sure I can find it somewhere. But all right. So again, I'm leaning over, looking at the monitor, getting as close as I can. Okay, that's not smoke. All right. They zoomed in to show that there's nothing going on in the air over Gaza at the moment. Um, okay. Qatar is saying that by the fourth day of the ceasefire, they hope to be able to negotiate an extension and more hostages freed. Um, okay, yeah. Um, 72 soldiers. Okay, all right. Um, I'm kind of hoping to get a report. Let me check somewhere else here. Kind of hoping to get a report. Um, Again, I mentioned that Israel suffered the largest attack it has suffered from the north out of Lebanon. Hezbollah major attack on an Israeli base. and on Israeli infantry. Um, I do not have an update on the results of those attacks, um, other than Israel launched a counterattack with fighter jets and helicopters. So that's that on that. All right. Well, I've been on almost an hour, and I wasn't anticipating being on that long. Um, I got we got like 5 minutes. If anybody has a question or a comment or anything you want to toss out there before I wrap this up. Not sure what's gonna, again, tomorrow is black, or later today. It's 12:30 where I'm at. It's Black Friday. With the computers, I don't do a lot of actual in-person shopping for anything, but I know Black Friday is a big deal in a lot of places, and not only Black Friday, but uh, fr- Friday that we dub Black Friday is also a day a lot of cities celebrate lighting their Christmas trees, turning their Christmas lights on for the season. Um, on the Friday after Thanksgiving because it's like a 4-day holiday for a lot of people. So there are going to be all kinds of events, and those events are soft targets. They won't be well protected or well secured. They may be a little better secured than they have been in the past, but not, they're still going to be soft. And we've got we got to keep in mind that there are those in the right wing that want to destroy anybody and everybody that's not like them. The only reason they're not doing it at the moment is because they themselves would end up in prison or dead. Um, and thankfully that's a small number, all right, but it's out there. There are those on the left wing that want to burn everything down too. Don't get me wrong. Okay, we got domestic extremists in our country on both ends of the spectrum. We've also got people that are just flat freaking crazy, that and desperate and see no hope for anything that go out and just shoot up places. Um, and then we have there's been a global jihad called, and at some point we are going to feel the repercussions of being aligned with Israel in the eyes of the Islamic extremists. So that's why we remind people that, hey, live your life, do what you got to do what you want to do, enjoy, but don't get complacent and don't think it can't happen to you, because as soon as you start thinking that way, that's when it happens. Hot mess summer. Happy Turkey Day to you. Um, and again, I'll bring it up once again. A train derailed in Kentucky. Serious derailment. Molten sulfur, I believe, was what was spilled, and they've had to um, evacuate a pretty wide area, and possibly will be evacuating more. So um, our prayers and thoughts go to those people down in that area. Um, it's about an hour away from your grandma's city. I have been um, the past, I don't know, 3 or 4 days. I've been spending a couple hours a day on building my family tree, um, finding out, the roots of what made me me, all the people that have been involved, and a whole bunch of my family is from a place called a county in Kentucky called Bath, and a town, two towns there, Muddy Creek actually was the name of it. I don't know if it's still called that, and Salt Lick. And this is going back like, pre-Civil War kind of stuff. Um, and found a bootlegger, we believe to be a bootlegger and a moonshiner, um, John Pancake Sorrell. That was in that area. So just a little name dropping of a nefarious relative from the bluegrass state. Um, you know where Salt Lake is? Well, the Staten, Staton, the Staten family from that area are my kin. Some of my kin. Hmm. Uh, yes, there's. Yeah, I think there is too. So, um, this has been nice. I thank you all for watching. Um, and if you haven't watched live, you're watching at your convenience. Thank you for sticking around. Um, as of right now, the ceasefire has gone on. It is happening. Um, it has activated. We'll put it that way. And it appears that both sides are honoring it. It's been 35 minutes, so we would hope they would. About 9 hours, about 8 hours from now, um, the first of 13 of the 50 um, hostages being held by Hamas will be released through um, the crossing into Egypt. Then Egypt will escort them to the Rafah crossing from Egypt into Israel. Once they are in Israel, then 39 Palestinian prisoners under the age of 18, women and children only, will be released into the West Bank, the occupied West Bank. So, so at the moment, no summer. Supposedly, for 4 days, there's not going to be a war in the Gaza. Now, Israel's still going to be firing into Lebanon at Hezbollah, and Hezbollah is still going to be firing back at them. Iranian-backed militants are still going to be attacking our bases, U.S. bases in Iraq and in Syria, primarily around the oil fields in both countries. And Russia and Ukraine are still going at it. Guy asked about the differences, and one of the differences is the religious aspect of and the Holy Land aspect of what's happening in Gaza and Israel. As far as why we have protests and why people are so fervent and passionate, it's the religious aspect. But is that what this is really about, or is it about a billion gallons worth of oil? And for every gallon's 100. I'm sorry, mercy. Every barrel is 100 gallons. So you do the math, and you've got like a trillion gallons of gas underneath Gaza, supposedly. So let's say just a dollar a gallon. That's $1 trillion, and that might be more motivation than the religious aspect of it. But nonetheless, the religious part of it is what drives the passion, and especially with those that are actually fighting, because they probably don't have any idea what's under Gaza. So, thank you all. We all wish it would stop. We all wish it would stop before. I want it all to stop, especially before it spreads over here. Um, you know, I got grandbabies, so I don't. I, I don't want them growing up in a world where it's George Orwell's 1984. You know, um, and you'll hear reports, and they're not all incorrect, that the United States is actually funding both sides of this. Um, and we got to always remember that we are based as a military industrial complex, and in order for us to keep making money, we got to have people to sell war supplies to. That's a pretty cold and callous way to look at things, but that's where we're at. So hopefully we can get away from that, but it's going to take all of us that, um, and we may not even have time or the freedom. A lot of people yell about freedom, but if we're not careful, we're going to lose all of us, in my humble opinion. And I hope that never happens. Like I said, I got grandkids, and I don't want them growing up in an environment like that. Um, Got to take Cam to Ave Maria Grotto to see their Christmas lights this year. It's been years since they had lights. Yeah, you know, we spent a couple of years there with COVID where nothing happened, and a lot of things are starting to come back without any restrictions. So um, crowds will be bigger in some places, and like, the grotto, places that haven't been open for a while will be open again, and get out, enjoy them. That's what the holidays are about. But at the same time, trust your gut. If something doesn't, um, okay, if something doesn't feel right, trust your gut, and chances are, all of us that are here at the moment, nothing's going to happen to any of us. But and I sincerely hope that. But at the same time, you never know what's going to happen, no matter where you're at, because domestic terrorists, foreign terrorists, and a bunch of crazy people in the country, and a lot of them got a bunch of guns. All right. So take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Um, as long as there's nothing, significant happening tomorrow, I may take the time off. I don't know yet. And uh, okay, first 13 captives will be released at 4 p.m. local time. So again, about 8 hours, 7 hours and 50 minutes or so from now. So I'll be monitoring that, and if nothing happens, I'll take tomorrow night off and see what happens on Saturday. But I just got this feeling that this might be the weekend that it hits home, and I sure hope I'm wrong. Love you all. Namaste. Shalom. Shalom. Assalamu. Blessings be upon you from the Most High. Peace. Oh man, wouldn't that be great? World peace. Give peace a chance. All we are saying, give peace a chance. And I love y'all. I'm thankful for all of you, sincerely. If you'd like to help support the show, Cashapp, $American Doofus, the best way to do it. If you want to contact me, americandufus at gmail.com. And it's a dark world. Be a light. I love y'all.